Woo! Amen.
Yes. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
Welcome to Top Gun Week.
Absolutely.
So it just so happens that Top Gun Maverick comes out, and we have our very own Top Gun pilot here with us today.
Hoo-yah, sir. Hoo-yah.
Would you like to take a second to introduce yourself?
Yeah, you bet, guys. My name is Matthew Buckley. My call sign is Whiz. And before we go any further, let's just kind of clear one thing up about fighter pilots.
Okay.
Especially with Maverick coming out this week. There are no fighter pilots with the call signs of Maverick, Iceman,
Goose,
Rooster, whatever, all these other cool call signs. Let's just say that fighter pilots earn our call signs, and it's usually by doing something stupid. So my call sign's Whiz, and I'll take no questions about how I earned my call sign. But yeah, flew the F-18 Hornet for the United States Navy for about 15 years, graduated from the Navy Fighter Weapons School, which many of you know as Top Gun, and flew 44 combat sorties over Iraq off of Abraham Lincoln and Kitty Hawk. And that's my military service.
Damn.
Excellent.
It was a good time. Man. Yeah. Now I run a foundation actually trying to help prevent veteran suicide. Got my 22 a day T-shirt on here. 22 veterans a day on average kill themselves. It's almost 1 per hour, which is just an absolute insane tragedy. So this week actually down here in Boca Raton, we've rented a movie theater where we're going to preview Maverick, but we're also going to watch the premiere of our documentary movie on veteran suicide called No Fallen Heroes. So we're watching a little bit of a first look. We're still in production of that movie, and hopefully that's going to launch on Veterans Day. So that's the 100,000-foot view from me.
That's really good. I too was involved with a big suicide prevention organization called Irreverent Warriors, and we have hikes all over the country. I was a district coordinator, I was a city coordinator, I was a regional coordinator, and I did that for like 3 years, and now I'm actually doing more stuff with the VFW. Hey, Paulie Freeman, once a hunter,
hey, Chief.
always a hunter. Oh yeah,
Chief Freeman, that's awesome, man. Great to see you on board. He is a great American. Him? I do. I think that guy owes me money.
He probably does.
Paulie, come on, man.
He was one of the glue that kept the hunters together, man. Chief Freeman and all those guys, just unsung heroes of the hunters.
Wow.
Yeah, so I served with Paulie Freeman on the USS Carl Vinson in the mid '80s.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah, so I was just one of our guys just retired from Chicago PD after 31 years.
Wow.
And Paulie just moved to Chicago just a couple weeks ago. So all of our Navy buddies all stayed at his house when we went to his retirement in Chicago. It was great. It's great.
I saw that. I saw it on Facebook. That's awesome.
Yes. And we got a new VFW member out of it too. Thanks, Commander Flake.
We did. So usually what we do on this show, we get the veterans' stories. So I'm very interested. How does one become? First of all, how does one become a fighter pilot?
Yep.
In the Navy, and then how do you learn how to go 1,000 miles an hour? Like how does this even happen? Like my pea brain can't wrap my head around this.
Oh, this is going to be a good one. I can't wait for this.
So you obviously had to go to college, and then can you walk us through the process?
Sure. Well, at a high level, God takes care of fools, drunks, and sailors, right? So I was covered on all three bases. I was good to go. But I was born and raised in South Jersey, and my family was from South Philly. One of 6 Irish Catholic kids, so we were kind of service above self. We lived on the Jersey Shore, not the MTV one, the actual nice Jersey Shore, and. So I was a beach guy. I loved aviation, and I wanted to serve my country. So that was kind of a Reese's peanut butter cup that turned into wanting to be a Navy fighter pilot from an early age. So I went to Jacksonville University up here in Florida, which is where I met my beautiful bride. And was lucky enough to select for aviation. And then, in naval aviation, it's a pyramid, right? Because as you all know, we got a lot of helicopters, we got a lot of prop planes, hell, we got a lot of jets. So you're always trying to get to that higher level, that next step. So I went to flight school in Pensacola, Florida, and I rented like a 1-bedroom house out in the middle of the woods, and I literally turned into a monk. I just buried myself in the books and just got as much gouge as I could, and just just tried my best, and was lucky enough to get out of primary flight training and select jets. And I went down to Kingsville, Texas. Man, there's nothing down in Kingsville, Texas, but the King Ranch, that's about it. And then was lucky enough to select F-18s. Now, this was in the early 90s, and the Tomcat was still racing around a little bit, but I knew the Tomcat was going away, and I wanted to be a Hornet guy. So got selected to fly Hornets, and was assigned to out to dead middle of California, beautiful Lemoore, California. If you've ever been there, you know I'm joking. It's literally 30 minutes outside Fresno. It's just it ain't a garden spot. Like I said, I did two deployments with the Mighty Shrikes in CAG 11, and that was a horrific experience. It was the first time an air wing in the history of the United States Navy had been ordered to pull into port, because we had so many mishaps. During workups, we lost 8 aviators due to mishaps. Wow. We lost 3 guys in a prowler, 2 guys who did a low transition. This was national news. They did a low transition out of Nashville, got disoriented and pancaked into a condo. So the 2 of my buddies died there, and then a couple Hornet. It was just insane. So, and I was an LSO, a landing signal officer, and it was ugly. So before we even went to the Persian Gulf, we had lost 8 air crew, which it was horrific. So did my time in Lemoore and got paid back since I was an LSO. I went to the Sharpshooters, VM FAT 101, a Marine F-18 training squadron down in El Toro. While it was still open, and then they closed El Toro, and we got to go down to Miramar. And then I don't know, man. In 2000, along with a lot of other guys, I just followed the conga line out of flying jets for the Navy to the airlines. But I also, as Chief will tell you, Chief Freeman, I got the lottery ticket. The lottery ticket in those days was getting, that rich airline pilot job and flying fighters in the reserve. So I got hired by the Hunters in VFA 201 in Naval Air Station Fort Worth down there. And man, that was the pinnacle. That was the tip of my life, and my first flight scheduled as an airline pilot for American Airlines was the morning of September 11th. And I was packing for my trip that morning, and my wife came in and said, "Hey, you better take a look at the TV. Plane just hit the World Trade Center." And I'm like, "Yeah, whatever. Small airplane, bad weather. I'm packing." Yeah. And just the look on her face told me I better go look. And I saw what you guys saw. Beautiful day in New York City, big smoking hole. And as I'm standing there going through my mental aviation checklist of how that could happen, the second plane hit. And I knew we were immediately under attack. So I raced into the bedroom. I still have my American Airlines uniform in the plastic because I never wore it. I grabbed my flight suit. I put on my boots, didn't even tie my laces. And I had an old Porsche, man. I did about 120, 130 miles an hour out to the Naval Air Station. I got out there just as they closed it, went to ThreatCon Delta. Me and another pilot had made it out there. And then a couple of the maintenance guys downstairs called down and said, "Hey guys, what do you got?" They said, "We got 4 jets." I said, "Get them. Let's go. Get them combat capable." And that's when the F-16 squadron next door, the 457th, the SPADs, they were tied into NORAD, of course, since they're rich Air Force squadron. And their general had made it out there with 4 other F-16 guys. And they said, "All right, Gruff," call sign of the guy who made it out there with me, "Gruff and Whiz, get over here, man. We're a poor Navy squadron in the middle of the Texas." And they said, "We'll arm your jets, man. We'll give you bullets." And we used nitrogen in our sidewinders, or vice versa, whatever. We had to, the maintenance guys had to jump through the rear end, but we got some sidewinders. And so Gruff and I raced over to the command post, and we're sitting there briefing 2 F-18 guys, 4 F-16 guys, and we look up on one of the big screens and the Pentagon gets hit. It was just, it was surreal. It was incredible. So the Air Force guys, being the Air Force guys, got their jets up pretty damn quick and scrambled and got airborne. And then Gruff and I went alert 5 at the end of the runway, just sitting there with the engines turning, waiting to launch when those guys landed. But by the time they had landed, everything had kind of been put down around the country, and it was incredible. It was insane. So I went from, potentially flying in an airliner that day to shooting one down, maybe even to shooting down one of my squadron mates. I mean, most of the pilots and the hunters were airline pilots. Most of them were airborne that day. So, imagine being ordered to shoot down an airliner full of Americans, let alone flown by one of your best friends. So just an incredibly surreal day. And, when I got hired by American Airlines, I got a nice letter, colored stationery signed by the chief pilot in ink, welcome aboard. And a couple days after the attack, I got a photocopied letter from American Airlines HR that was kind of off-centered that said, hey, you're furloughed, you're laid off. So in the blink of an eye, I, lost my airline career and all that crap. But thankfully, or maybe not thankfully, the hunters, we all started getting geared up to combat. So I could reserve bum, so to speak, a lot more. So kind of paid my mortgage and fed my wife and my young son with full-time reserve bum. And but in the background, you guys know you don't join the military to get rich. But I was always interested in the markets and finance and stuff like that. So I had taught myself about investing. When guys were sitting in the ready room, like, drinking coffee, shooting the shit, I did that too, but I'd be reading the Wall Street Journal or just kind of. So short story long, after I got furloughed from American, I started trading full time and flying, Hornets in the reserves. And I eventually popped up on the radar of a multi-billion-dollar trading firm in Chicago. And they called me up and, man, they went mafia on me. They made me an offer I couldn't refuse. They asked me what I was doing. I said, hey, man, I just kind of apply everything I learned flying a fighter jet to trading, managing risk, having a strategy, contingency planning, not being emotional about something when it goes wrong, and, following a checklist. And they're like, that sounded like, rocket surgery to them, like the greatest thing ever. And I'm like, you guys aren't doing this. So went up to Chicago for a couple of years. No offense to Chief moving to Chicago, but I'm a beach guy. I need,
Right.
and Lake Michigan ain't a beach. I mean, the Edmund Fitzgerald sank out there. So we moved down here to Boca Raton, where my wife is from. And since I dragged her to Lemoore for 5 years, I always promised to get her home. So we moved down here in about 2009, 2010, and I started my own company called Top Gun Options, where I teach people how to trade options. And then
that's awesome.
a couple of years ago is when I started that foundation to try and reduce veteran suicide.
Now, what's the name of the foundation again?
It's called No Fallen Heroes.
No Fallen Heroes.
Yeah, No Fallen Heroes. It was called Top Gun Fighter Foundation, excuse me, when I was kind of focusing on the aviation side of the house, because I lost 3 buddies to suicide. I mean, one shot himself in the parking lot of the squadron in his car. One guy, my best friend Swede, who I went through flight school with, beautiful wife and 4 daughters, put a bullet in his head. So I lost a lot of guys to suicide on the aviation side. And then after this life-saving treatment I did about a year ago, I said, you know what, I got to put the ladder down to all veterans and dependents and spouses, and then also first responders too, because you guys know a lot of vets go and they hang up one uniform and they go put on another uniform, and they never shed kind of some of the problems they had leaving the military, the depression, the PTSD, the anxiety, or what they call now warrior syndrome, right, or operator syndrome.
PTS
all of it. Yeah. So we started, so I changed the name of the foundation recently because that's also the name of the documentary movie that we're doing. So if you go to nofallenheroes.com, you can actually see like a 4-minute trailer of the documentary that we're doing.
Oh, we gotta show that, Commander Flake.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's really, it's incredible. I actually did the medicine a year ago this weekend. So a year ago this weekend, I was in Mexico with 2 people. You definitely know who one is. The first guy I did the medicine with, his name is Marcus Luttrell, the lone survivor. So Marcus and I are best
I
friends.
don't know him personally, but I think he's the Texas
he's just
Frog. He's an awesome man.
Yeah.
he is he's just an incredible human being. And I got to experience a lot of his healing. And one of the other guys I did the medicine with is Jared Taylor, one of the guys who started Black Rifle Coffee.
Black Rifle Coffee. Yep.
Yeah.
Actually, my buddy Zach Jenkins, his brother was a TAC P with Jared's brother
Oh, great.
in the airport. So it's kind of a neat thing because we know a lot. I mean, we know a lot of the same people in this big
Mm-hmm.
veteran advocacy program.
Yeah.
Like Save a Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
Like I did that. That's the program I did, and I did that
Okay.
last May, and
Mhm.
it totally changed my life.
Oh, that's
And you were
great.
talking about firefighters and EMTs and
Mm-hmm.
this warrior detox program. I don't know what program you did, but
Mm-hmm.
these programs, they work. They really do.
Oh yeah. So we did a medicine called ibogaine, and
Yeah,
then
I've heard of that.
five
Yeah.
meo, yeah, and then 5-MeO DMT. We did both of those, and it's just I've never 52 years I've never been better. When I was a kid I lost my older sister who was 19 years old to a drunk driver,
Sorry.
and yeah, no, it's why it's great now because I got to see her on the medicine. And I healed decades of trauma with this medicine, and it was absolutely life saving. So in our No Fallen Heroes documentary, we actually film. I took 4 other fighter guys down to Mexico for treatment because this treatment has mainly been used for the ground guys and gals. Why? Because aviators, man, what do? We get out, we go to the airlines, right? And guess what? Every year on that, and Chief will tell you, I think Chief's with the FAA, every year,
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
on your medical form, it says what? Have you, and it's a ridiculous question, especially for military aviators. Have you ever suffered from depression, whatever? What do we do every year? Nope. You check yes, and you're done.
Done.
I know a buddy of mine recently, he's an American Airlines captain who did the medicine top secret. He just took a week of leave. He took some leave from American. He was an F-16 guy. He's like, Whiz, I've been in therapy for 15 years and I pay cash because I don't want Uncle Sam. I don't want a paper trail of this. I'm like, what an absolute tragedy. First of all, that we're sending our nation's most elite warriors and veterans to Mexico to heal.
To get help.
And second of all, and the flying, I'll bet you the flying public would be a little freaked out if you gave them 2 choices. Do you want your airline captain to be depressed, miserable, and alcoholic, or would you like them to maybe take a couple days off and completely heal everything in their lives? Which one of those would you choose?
Right.
The latter.
So
I like the latter.
exactly. So I'm standing up on the fence line a little bit, and I have no problems taking the shot because I own 2 of my own L-39 Albatross fighter jets that we got from Czechoslovakia. So I kind of
Nice.
fly for fun, and I fly veterans around and stuff like that. But I'm absolute, and there are guys starting to pop up on the radar a little bit. There's an Alaska Airlines captain, Jughead is his call sign. He survived the fastest ejection in the F-15 Eagle. This guy ejected supersonic.
Whoa.
And it would be quicker to list the things that didn't break than the ones that broke. I mean, this guy, and they believe that he has delayed onset PTSD. So he's told Alaska Airlines, and he's actually got the backing of the AOPA and his pilots union to go do this treatment, and then stand up to the FAA and go, "Hey, man, I am a lean, mean fighting machine, and I am healed." So that's another part of this documentary is kind of showing, first of all, that healing is possible, but second of all, it's for all people, not just the ground guys.
Yeah.
One of the guys in the documentary, Slider, Tomcat guy, he ended up dropping. He was cleared hot. Everybody thought bad guys, and he killed 12 innocent Iraqi police officers. And that dude just completely went off the edge. Another guy in the documentary, Air Force Academy graduate, ops group commander. This dude was on fast track for general. He was flying an MC-130, so kind of the spook, MC-130, doing all the top secret stuff. he got out of the captain, the left seat to go, I don't know, back to the navigator's table or something like that. And they jinked and they bounced him off the ceiling and broke his neck. So he did the VA, standard VA treatment. He's like, Whiz, they put me on benzos. He became an addict. He became a drug addict as a result of the VA's treatment. And this meant for both these guys, they are completely different human beings now that they've done the medicine. So this documentary is going to chart that growth and that success to show everybody. Because if I ain't nobody special, but if I can stand next to Marcus Luttrell and a couple of these other guys and go, hey man,
Right.
this unfornicated me. Maybe we should believe them. It's actually one of my tabs right here. There's a great article in Texas Monthly. Governor Rick Perry. I met Governor Rick Perry out in, the name of this article is Rick Perry, Drug Pusher. Rick Perry was out at a veterans event, and he was on stage. He said, hey man, 5 years ago, Rick Perry, if you had seen me on stage calling for the therapeutic legalization of psychedelics, I would have kicked my own ass, but here I am. So when you get guys like Rick Perry, Dan, Congressman Crenshaw, Morgan Luttrell, Marcus' brother.
He's running for Congress too. Yeah,
Congress. When you get, this is the first issue in, I can't even remember how long, that Republicans and Democrats are actually reaching across the aisle and going, let's get these guys and gals some help. And the biggest, the coolest thing I got going on with the No Fallen Heroes project is this. I don't want to use the word cool because it's not cool, and you'll get what I mean in a second. At the beginning of this thing, they're like, hey man, you need some diversity. You need some women or what? I'm like, okay, yeah, good idea. So I pick up the phone and I called two F-18 women I had flown with, and they said, Whiz, man, we'd love to heal our PTSD. And I said, great, I'd love to have you in the project. And they're like, oh yeah, it ain't from combat, it's from rape and sexual assault. And I went, holy shit. So they kind of they're like, hey man, love you, but we want to watch you guys go first. But recently, one of the guys that's in the documentary, Sledge, the F-15 guy, they, on the Air Force side of the fence, some of the females he had trained or flew Eagles with, he put up the bat signal, and we've officially now have 3 Air Force former fighter pilots who want to do the medicine as part of this documentary. But all 3 of them also have some bad shit that has nothing to do with combat, which is heartbreaking.
MST and all that, yeah.
Yeah, one of them, Siren, I believe her call sign is, the first female F-16 pilot. I mean, this lady, just an absolute trailblazer. She just retired.
Her call sign is Siren?
I think it's Siren, yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's a cool call sign.
Yeah, she just retired from Southwest Airlines, so she's taking a little bit of a, hey, I just retired, nice. But I think all 3 of them are going to be on board with the documentary. So, yeah, and I saw Chief just asked, we're shooting, so the first look is this weekend, and that's only like a 20-minute, kind of snippet. We're shooting for Veterans Day. We're looking to finish the project. I'm a fighter pilot, man. I'm a knuckle dragger, political science major. I'd never made a movie before. It ain't cheap. So we're actually looking to get some funding, and because when I talked to the production team, I'm like, hey, it would be cool to use this song right here. And they're like, yeah, that song's probably about $200,000. I'm like, what? We're trying to get to some of the artists and say, hey, this is, for veterans, and say, a documentary about saving lives. Can you hook a brother up? But even, some of the special effects they want to use in this documentary.
Hey, Whiz, like I know one country singer that loves veterans. I could give you, I'm not going to say it right now because I don't want to break any. But he would love. I mean, he loves veterans. I met him in January, and he's probably going to be playing at our golf tournament in October. But he's a good dude, and he wrote a couple songs that
Yeah,
I'll definitely hook you up, man.
Absolutely. I'll get him the pitch deck of the movie, and then a link to the trailer. Here's the cooler part of the project. I'm sure you guys have seen, I think it's on Discovery or A&E, the TV show Intervention, right? Yeah. Where they go in, and so we're going to do a TV show called No Fallen Heroes Extraction, where we're going to take a vet who ain't just doing good, and we're going to go in and extract them and grab them and take them to treatment to do the medicine. So that's called No Fallen Heroes extraction. We want to, again, that ain't cheap, and we're trying to get funding. So if you know anybody, Andrew, I'd love to
Yeah.
hear it. That
I'm
would be great.
I am a walking Rolodex, sir.
He is.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah,
So
that would be great.
when you did your treatment, I was listening to your podcast. You said you did a flip.
I'm 54 now. In 54 years on this planet, if I tried to flip into a pool or what, I'd land flat on my back. I mean, in
Yeah.
54 years, the only successful flip I've ever done was in a bed in Mexico on the 5-MeO treatment. It was, I have no memory of doing, I mean, I know what was going on in here, but
Yes.
yeah, that was a, let's just say that was an exorcism. And man,
Yeah.
I got rid of so many demons. That's exactly what that was. I mean, Marcus had his own, I mean, some guys on the 5-MeO DMT lie there and, maybe cry or something like that. Mine was a full blown, flip. The term they use is transcend. I actually transcended, in the blink of an eye, man. My 52 years at the time, 52 years of ego, shame, death, drugs, alcohol. It literally disintegrated in the blink of an eye, and I felt oneness with whatever word you want to use, man. Insert it here: God, truth, source, divine.
Nirvana. That's nice, man.
It was a peace that I've never felt before. It was
How long is this process?
the 5-MeO DMT that I'm talking about right now is only, well, to me, it was forever.
Yeah,
It literally
what
lasted.
yeah,
It felt
what I've
like I
heard.
was with God, and I experienced oneness with everybody. It was, for me, it was probably about 10 minutes, I think, 10, 15 minutes. And then the other half an hour, I just was on the bed crying because I've never been more happy in my life. But 2 days before that, day and a half before that, when you do the ibogaine, the ibogaine's an ass kicking. I was down 12 hours, 13 hours, and Marcus probably around the same, JT a little longer. One of the guys I did, so it was me, Marcus, JT, another Navy SEAL, and an NFL player who I think is still kind of keeping it under wraps. He played All-American for 4 years at a very well-known university, and then played for an NFL team for 8 years. And I rode in the car down there with him. That dude, he looked like death. He looked horrific. He was down for about 16 hours. They gave him an IV. The medicine had a lot of work to do. I saw him in October, where at the Governor Perry event, I didn't recognize him. He was a completely different human being. And he's like, Whiz, I'm a changed man. He had so much CTE in his brain. And I've seen it. I mean, Marcus is like, dude, look at my VA brain scan. Dark, black, gray. 3 months after the treatment, it was white. And hey man, I was on 15 meds at the VA, 5 to wake up, 5 for lunch, and 5 to go to bed, off everything. So it is a complete cleansing process, but it ain't fun. It ain't easy. It's a serious undertaking. And there's a lot of work to do. We call the integration after you do the medicine. It's not like, hey man, I'm home. Because there's a lot of integration to do. There's a lot of work. The first 30 days after I did the medicine, I'm like sitting there at a stoplight crying because I'm like, holy crap, the beauty of a stoplight. I just, you see everything. And then the next 30 days, like 30 to 60, kind of sucked because you're like, why is that dude homeless? Why are we killing each other? Why is there war? It's a little bit of a sadness. And then the last 30 days, 60 to 90, you kind of find your groove, so to speak. But by no means is this a, hey man, I went to Mexico and took a couple pills and it's changed my life. There's work to do. I know some guys that have gone to do the medicine again. I've done the medicine twice in a year. The second time was for the documentary, and it was just as incredible, but completely different than the first time. And it worked on other areas that I needed work. So it's incredible. It's a gift, and they're not drugs, right? These are plants, and they've been using this plant medicine for literally thousands and thousands of years.
Yeah.
And I'm doing a lot of post research, right? Because when they're like, hey, you want to go do this with this cool group? I'm like, sure, man. If I had done no, I still would have done it. But if I had known what I was getting into, I would have, now if you could see I have tons of books. I'm like an expert on this now. The one book, these researchers have actually found iboga residue in chalices, like from years before Christ. So they actually believe this was used in religious ceremonies where you, not a priest or whoever, between you and God, where you and God got together. And then somewhere along the line, a bunch of people kind of inserted themselves in the middle and said, no. He speaks to me and I'll let you know what he's saying, which is wrong. So this this levels the field once again and brings us full circle, man. I mean, I after my sister died, I was an altar boy. We went to church every Sunday as an Irish Catholic family. I wore a little coat and tie. We were that. And then after my sister died, I was done. What kind of God kills my sister and destroys my family? And then, man, I'll tell you, sitting here today, I've never been more spiritual in my life. I found my faith again. I found God, and it's, I'm a recovering Catholic, so to speak.
And I'm an Episcopalian, and that happened to me too. My dad died. He committed suicide when I was in boot camp.
Oh man. Oh shit.
And
I'm so sorry.
we lost 26 guys in Fallujah and Ramadi.
Jesus.
Yeah, and I too, I lost my contact with my higher power, and then I was a bad drunk alcoholic for 18 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now recovered 3.5.
God bless. That's awesome, man. Congrats.
I mean, we're all trying to get to where you are right now, and I have not tried the DMT, AA support group, the VFW, like all these things, like and keeping busy, like.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, and I need to talk to you about. Have you ever heard of this Navy guy, Buzz Bryan? Have you ever heard of him?
I haven't.
He did a book about the warrior's virtue.
Oh, I've heard about that. Yeah. I didn't read it. I've heard that. Yeah.
He just sent me the book called The Resilient Warrior, and you definitely need to check that out.
Okay.
I've
heard of this. Yeah.
I'm in it. I've got a chapter. Danielle Rocco's got a chapter. Travis Parrington and a whole bunch of other people, like with the letters USMC after it, are in this book. So you definitely.
It's got big
couple
letters,
Navy guys.
and it's written in crayon, right?
Yes.
Oh, stop it, sir! How do you know my secret?
Exactly. Yeah, well, I guess I dropped my oldest son, on his head when he was a kid because he wants to be a Marine. So
I got dropped on my head a couple times when I was a kid.
Oh yeah, I'm proud.
You're in. Well, that's cool, man. Sorry, Commander Flake.
That's all right.
I spent 10 years in Florida. You're in the rat's mouth right now, Boca.
Beautiful. Raton. Yeah.
I worked in Vero Beach. I went to college in at Rollins in Winter Park.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Uh-huh.
And then I enlisted into the Marine Corps.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, nice. I want to check this out.
Is this your intro?
That is.
Sorry if we watch it real quick.
Yeah, if it plays for everybody, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, nice job, Commander.
2, 1, lights on.
My name's Matthew Buckley. My call sign as a fighter pilot was Whiz. Served the United States Navy on active duty for 10 years and then flew fighters in the reserves for 6 years.
Being a fighter pilot for the United States Navy was the culmination of a dream. Dogfights at supersonic speed on the edge of consciousness. Life and death situations created stress, trauma, depression, anxiety, and fear. I was searching for an answer, and I found it. Shockingly, it was psychedelic medicine.
The military does an incredibly good job of training you for combat and doing some pretty horrible stuff to another human being. And then when they're done with you, they do a pretty shitty job of transitioning you back to being a human.
Yes, they do.
This plant medicine has been around for thousands and thousands of years.
It took me on a journey downrange with these 4 other incredible men, human beings, veterans.
As a result of the medicine, I literally found God.
I took the ibogaine. It was like I got lifted up and then I exploded into forever. I felt infinity.
What happens in this world is beyond logic. And when these heroes move from the speed of sound to the speed of life, the job really gets dangerous because so many of their wounds are invisible. Emotions get suppressed as a means of survival.
Daniel Summers, who served 2 tours in Iraq, took his own life. He was just 30 years old.
Sadly, he is not the first veteran to do so.
8,000 U.S. veterans commit suicide each year. That's an average of 22 per day.
We're here to tell you this is not the way out.
Literally 52 years of ego, of regret, shame, pain, death, alcohol, drugs, disintegrated in the blink of an eye. I exploded into light, energy, love, indescribable.
80% of the volunteers in that study reported that the experience was among the 5 most personally meaningful and spiritually significant experiences of their lives.
It was peace. It was a peace that I have never felt before. We're going to be saving lives. We're going to be changing attitudes. No higher purpose, no higher calling than helping your fellow woman, helping your fellow man.
On May 27th, with the opening of Maverick Top Gun, we step out of the cockpit into the real-life stories of decorated pilots.
We're going to heal everybody, not just veterans. Nobody's left behind.
No fallen heroes.
3, 2, 1, let's go.
Whoa.
That's pretty intense.
Whoa. Whoa.
Yeah, you like that?
That's pretty crazy, man.
Good. That's the reaction I want, man.
Wow, dude, that was amazing. That was
awesome.
that was pretty awesome, man.
Good. Well, if it hits with you guys, you're my target audience, man. That's what we want to do is go
And
veterans
you got
like to
you
relate
went
to
to
it.
a New Jersey Devils game and got recognized. That's pretty That's pretty cool too, man.
Oh no, it was Florida Panthers.
That was the Panthers. I thought it was the Devils, man. Oh man, that's
They
awesome.
were in the background. We were playing Jersey though. Yeah, it was a home game here for the Panthers. But
Man, I remember. Sorry, this is totally off script. I remember going to the Panthers' first game with my dad. Like when they first came on the scene, we
In
were
the
living
90s?
in Savannah. Oh, in the night, yeah, it
Wow.
was like 97, 95,
Yeah.
something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're like we drove down from Savannah to watch this. We're like, Florida's got hockey now. Holy shit! Florida's not a hockey state.
Well,
What are
when
you
you think
talking
about it,
about?
man, who's from? No, there's not too many people from Florida. They're
There
either
are no
from
native
Canada
Floridians.
or
No.
New England. Yeah, so all the
Yeah.
snowbirds. So actually, hockey's bigger. I don't want to get in trouble for saying that. Hockey's bigger down here than it was up in Chicago, man. I mean, 'cause,
Oh,
yeah, it's
sorry.
insane.
I don't like the Blackhawks at all. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No offense. No offense, Paulie.
Chief's a Hawks fan, man. You can
Shut up, Paulie. Go Bruins. Every
Hey, you know
day,
what?
all day.
You know what's cool, and Chief, you'll appreciate this. Dan, if you're a Hawks fan, you know Daniel Carcillo, right? So Carbomb, Daniel Carcillo was a flyer. He was a Broad Street bully. Then he
Yep.
went to the Blackhawks, where he won 2 Stanley Cup rings. Daniel Carcillo is one of my good friends now. He lives down here just north of me. When he
No
was on the
way.
Blackhawks, his best friend, Steve Montador, died in his sleep. And when they opened up his head, he died of CTE. And Daniel's like, holy crap, man, I see this in me. So Daniel left the NHL and started looking into his head and stuff like that. And he caught himself before he died. Daniel Carcillo now is the CEO of a company called WeSana. And he is using MDMA. He's like in phase 3 trial with the FDA to get approval to treat traumatic brain injury with psychedelic assisted therapy with MDMA. It's insane. So he and I are good buddies right now.
Wow. I haven't done MDMA since college. So
yeah, exactly.
But as MDMA, not the good stuff.
Yeah, but the scientific studies, not the college studies, but the scientific studies that are going in, and they map out what the MDMA is doing to damaged brain with TBI and CTE. It's fixing or creating new neural pathways. So all of this head trauma makes it reconnects broken stuff.
I got a question. You've mentioned CTE. I mean, I know what it is, but can you tell everybody who's watching?
You're putting me on the spot. Cerebral. It's a lot of big words. CTE is it's the same thing in my opinion as a traumatic brain injury, but CTE is chronic telepathic apathy or something like that. It's mainly for athletes, right? The head trauma, the repeated concussions. So the NFL,
like boxer, yeah.
Exactly. So so Carcillo actually had to sue. He sued the NHL. So when we go to the Panthers games together, he laughs. He's like, I need to put on like some glasses and a fake mustache. They're not going to let me in here because the NHL still isn't paying. They're kind of paying lip service to this. The NFL is doing a little better job. Exactly, Chief. Junior Seau, man, and Aaron Hernandez, man. That kid, from playing ball as a child to high school to University of Florida he was dead in his head before he ever he was that poor guy. I mean, you can't excuse what happened, but you guys were all in the military, man. Whenever there's a mishap, we look at the causal factors and the chain, and if anybody had broken one of those things. So that's what I want to do with No Fallen Heroes. Remember that movie, Tom Cruise, The Minority Report, the Department of Pre-Crime. I want to be the pre-suicide, man. We want to go in there and extract people before they do this.
No, that's good.
I talked to 2 SEAL wives whose husbands had killed themselves, and they went and did this treatment. And both of these women said if they had done the medicine, their husbands, they would not have killed themselves. I mean, that testimonial right there is all I needed to hear. Right. And then after doing it on my own, I'm like, I know exactly what they're talking about. So this really is life-saving treatment, and this is the time. I am going to say this is a God moment because a year ago, I was just going to kind of do a Maverick event and, a fundraiser for my foundation. And then I found this medicine, and then Paramount kicked Maverick out a year. So in the year that I've done my medicine with Maverick coming out, I'm cheap. Paramount's spending $150 million to promote this movie, and we're going to fly formation right next to him, man. Because we're going to, our marketing, our social media is going to say, Tom Cruise, actor, Pete Mitchell is his character. guess what? We're going to show you real fighter pilots and what happens when these guys step out of the cockpit, not a bunch of Hollywood folks. So I think it's going to be really powerful. We're going to take advantage of this massive franchise, this Paramount release, and try and raise awareness for veteran suicide, and hope even Tom Cruise or Jerry Bruckheimer kind of gets wind of this and says, hey, we'd love to help in some way.
Liz, we want to do a fundraiser for you. I mean, you've already
Right.
sold me.
I appreciate it.
And
that's great.
I'm actually taking over as from Commander Fleek. I'm going to be the next commander, and so I definitely want to put this on the books for doing something for you guys.
Oh, I'd love it. I'd be honored, man. I'd love to. Thanks for the mutual support, guys. I appreciate it. This is
we got to support other veterans and either their businesses, their service organizations, whatever, their nonprofits. We're a tribe, and we've got to stick together.
Yeah, and we could probably get the Department of Tennessee involved also.
Yeah, I mean, I am the state chaplain, so I got some pull.
You know what? The state of Maryland, I think it was a month ago, I saw on the news, the state of Maryland is actually giving grants to veterans now to go to treatment in Mexico. So there's a couple at the state level that there are state veterans organizations that are actually funding this treatment. Because it's about, I'd say all in, it's about $5,000. It's $1,000 in airfare and a hotel in San Diego, and then the weekend down in Mexico and the treatment's about $4,000. So as you guys know, $5,000 is a lot of money to a lot of people. Yeah. So the more grants we can get, and if states like Maryland are stepping up, man, that just puts a huge smile on my face. And as you guys know, it's going to be at the state level before Uncle Sammy really wakes up and goes, "Oh, okay, now we're on board." Yeah.
Now, when you go through this treatment, is there like a guy like that's monitoring you, like a shaman? It's not like ayahuasca, or it's not like any of that stuff, is it?
No, the way it was explained to me, I have not tried ayahuasca, but the way my counselors told me is like MDMA, psilocybin, ayahuasca are kind of mom and dad. Mom and dad love you and they'll take care of you. Ibogaine is the most powerful psychedelic on the planet, and it's granddad. Your granddad loves you, but he's going to beat the shit out of you if it's needed. So that's kind of the analogy with that. Oh, he did. I got run over by a truck driven by God, and I think he backed up a couple times. But being military guys, this is a military operation. You do 2 briefs before the medicine. You do blood work. You got your manual. You have to have 5 intentions for the medicine and also 5 questions for the medicine. And I used all of those when I was in my treatment. We teach you about breath work and meditation before the medicine. And then down there, the coach that you've been working with is there at the clinic as well. And like I said, it's a clinical experience as well. You're not in a white room with lab coats, but you're not in the middle of the Amazon. It's a little bit of both. There's cardiologists, there's a doc, there's nurses there throughout the night, but they're camouflage, so to speak, because it really is kind of a cool spiritual setting. So the VA actually has a bunch of studies now. They are starting to come this way, and you'll appreciate this, Andrew. What did he start? His name is Bob Parsons. Bob Parsons was you ready for this? So Bob Parsons, enlisted Marine in Vietnam, completely destroyed in Vietnam, used psychedelics to save his life. You know what company Bob Parsons started? GoDaddy. GoDaddy is Bob Parsons' company, but he just gave $10 million to the Department of Defense. They are not veterans. You ready for this? They're doing MDMA studies on active duty.
No.
Funded by Bob Parsons. So Chief Freeman just asked about the VA. So the VA is getting into this space. They see it's coming, and to their credit, they are starting to get on board. But again, this is life-saving treatment. So the VA, the FDA, it's going to be a couple years. So because to their credit, the guys that I went to were like, how tall are you? How much do you weigh? What's the dose? So the FDA is going to want procedures and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, they're going to want
specifics big time. Yeah,
that's great. Yeah. But we need to, like, I got my shirt on, 22 a day, man. The hour that you and I, the 3 of us were shooting the shit, a veteran took their life. So time is of the essence with something
Yeah.
like this. And that's why it's really cool to see states stepping up and take the lead. But the VA is getting on board. One of the guys on our No Fallen Heroes project, a former Tomcat guy, he's a Navy captain in the reserve. There's a DOD psychedelic task force. So they're starting to, the big DOD and VA are, this is on their radar, and they're starting to poke around. But here, this is messed up. When the DOD is scared of something, you know it's messed up. And you know what the DOD is scared of? Big Pharma. Their number one threat is Big Pharma. And Big Pharma is being very duplicitous right now in this space. They're MFing it, so to speak, while at the same time they're trying to figure out how to corner it because they know what's coming, right? But God is a brilliant pharmacologist. You can't patent a root.
He ain't bad.
You can't trademark a toad. So God's pretty smart about putting this stuff on the planet for us and not letting people jump in between us, right? But I will tell you, I gave a speech about a month ago down in Miami at a psychedelic capital conference. Suits, ties, PhDs, doctor. I mean, this space is starting to take off. So they're being a little two-faced, right? they're bad mouthing it, but they're also trying to corner it. So they're trying to almost put a moat around it, like, well, you need this type of therapy or this type of modality, or to get to it. But thank God, there's guys like me out there that are going to be able to go right through that bullshit and go. And to be honest with you,
supersonic speed.
Supersonics meets psychedelics. To be honest with you, because I went down there with our director of medicine operations, a very soulful woman, and as I'm listening to these presentations, they're like, well, instead of like taking psilocybin and lying there and waiting for it to hit in hours and and the long come out, this will we'll inject this and it'll take only 10 minutes. And then I'm like, wow, that's cool. And she looked at me and she's like, no. They're trying to Starbucks or McDonald's a thing that's been done for centuries. We're trying to make it Wendy's. And I'm like, wow, that's such a good point. She's like, no. That's part of the magic of doing some of this medicine is you are there for maybe lying there for an hour going with your thoughts. That's all part of it. Not this, hey, we can see you from 1:15 to 1:45 today. And we'll get, this whole, you're going to fix your life, with just this little quick fix.
It's not it's not a quick fix. I mean,
yeah, she was really good. I'm like, man, I'm glad you're here, because I thought all this like advancement in the psychedelic space was good, and she's like, we're starting to drift away from. I'm like, oh, so now I'm back on that side of the fence. I was like, this technology kind of sucks. Stop. So, but at least, hey man, if we are getting the word out there that there is healing, that there is suicide's not the way, or this darkness, or just people who just carry around so much pain for whatever reason, if anything can give them hope, I'm up for it. But I would prefer that we kind of keep it with a little bit of intention, right? There's two big words with psychedelic medicine they use: set and setting. The mindset you have going into the medicine, and also the setting, right? And if those are kind of off, it's probably not going to be a good thing. So if we can keep set and setting forefront, I think we're going to be pretty good. So.
Yeah, you said something in your documentary that I've been saying for years. The military will spend billions of dollars training you how to fight and go defend the country. But when you're 4 years or when your time's up, they hand you your DD-214, a slap on the back, and say, see you later, buddy.
See you later.
Like, I don't understand. Like, for every dollar they put into training somebody, they should put $10 into bringing them back to society.
It's a great idea. I love
that. For the reintegration. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we're all old enough to remember our transition. I think I had a class that was like a half an hour and the guy wanted to leave early type of thing. I'm like, what?
I had a week and it was terrible. Like, we didn't learn anything.
Yeah. Exactly. No. They might be getting better now, but they're definitely not dealing with this stuff and the darkness, especially because I made a big mistake when I left, or I didn't. So I lied, but I did. You ready for this? Because when I was leaving, half of the pilots in this room, one half of the room literally was like, oh, dude, tell them you're a quadriplegic. Tell them this is broken. You can't hear. I'm like, dude, we're all going to the airlines. You got an FAA physical coming up. And they're like, no. These two guys don't talk, man. So half of the room, I've got buddies who are airline captains who are 100% disabled, who've been getting paid for disability forever because they actually told the truth about this, but they lied over on their FAA forms. So me going to the air, and then I have just horrific tinnitus. My back's killing me, all sorts of stuff like that. I went to the VA like 10 years ago, like, hey, man, I need some help. And they're like, you said nothing was wrong with you when you left. I'm like, that was a lie. And they're like, well, you lied, so we can't help you at all. I'm like, you can't see why I lied? I mean, you can't. I was an LSO standing on the back of the boat with foamies next to a Tomcat and full afterburner, and you're telling me my hearing loss is not service related? So I actually gave up the fight. I mean, I didn't need the money. It was just more a sense of pride or something, or, you know, maybe the kids going to school at college for free in Florida. So it really pissed me off. That, you know, the one time in my life I lied big and it bit me, because I'm like, guys, how are you telling them you're disabled when you're going to go be an airline pilot? That sucks. So, and it's sad because the VA, they assume you're a liar, right? Instead of like other kind of welfare programs in this country, you're like, sure, here's some money. The veteran has to go over 1 million hurdles to prove. They got to go to like a 3-officer board, all sorts of bullshit. How about we start out with, we believe the veteran, and then if we find out you're lying down the road, you're in trouble, instead of you got to prove.
I did. I had 11 jobs in 1 year, and I had to get every phone number, every name, every address, every email of every said boss that I had that 1 year. And they're like, and I did the work. I did. It took me a while, but I got it, and I got my 100%. But I had to jump through hurdles, just like you said.
It was a full-time job, man. It's ridiculous. Yeah. It's awful. So I say we believe vets, and then find out down the road if they're lying. I mean, is there really like a ton of VA fraud? I see a shitload of fraud in other programs in this country that ain't tied to veterans, and nobody does anything about it. But we're going to be super tough on veterans.
Yeah, we are.
The crazy thing is,
good point, Whiz.
The crazy thing is, this virus comes around 2 years ago, and Uncle Sam just starts cutting checks for $2,500 for everybody. Here's free money. Here's free money. Here's free money. And it's like, where's all this money coming from, man? Why can't we take some of this money and give it to the VA?
Correct. Yeah. Well, where'd it come from? Out of thin air. It came from the Federal Reserve's printer. I mean, they ran out of ink. Yep. And now we're paying for it with all this inflation, man. Literally. I mean, they just the Federal Reserve is both the arsonist and the firefighter. That's what's cracking me up. It's ridiculous. We got a lot of pain ahead too. I hate, when I trade, I'm bipolar when I trade, because right now, I'm Whiz. I feel bad. People are their 401ks or 101ks are getting destroyed. And then I turn into Gordon Gekko from the movie Wall Street as an options trader. I'm like, good. I'm going to pound this market into the dirt. For every buyer, there's a seller, and I'm going to pound this thing into the dirt. So I don't mind that the Fed did this, because I'm printing money. But to get into heaven, because what's the proverb? It'll be easier for a camel to pass through an eye of the needle than a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. I take my money and I throw it over the fence to help veterans. I mean, I like having an airplane and a nice car. Other than that, I don't need shit. I need to put the ladder down and save some veterans' lives, because it's devastating, as you guys know. 2022, and I think this is wrong, guys. This is wrong. The data is from pre-COVID and pre-shit show Afghanistan. There's no way you're telling me that because of COVID in Afghanistan, this number went down. I think it's probably 1 an hour, if not more. Mm-hmm. And then you throw in active duty and reserve suicides. I mean, hell, the GW had 7 in the past year, 7 suicides on one ship. Oh, it's heartbreaking, man. So I'm going to try and do something about it, man. It is awful.
I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard that California and Texas don't even report veteran suicides. So if those are the two of the largest states in the union, they're not even reporting it.
Yep. And they do it on purpose, man. Clearly, they do not want to. They're more concerned about helping other people out than veterans. It's a disgrace. But I'm going to try and fix it, man. I'm going to fix, or I'm going to die trying. So
I'm trying. We'll help you, sir.
Yeah, if you're ever in Tennessee,
you got our
support. Yeah.
You know what? Sledge, Patrick, Pat Mullins, our F-15 guy in our documentary, he lives in Tennessee.
Where?
You guys would love that guy. I don't know where
Yeah.
Pat lives. I'll find out. I'll let you guys know.
Yeah, let us know, because we would love to have him talk at our one of our meetings.
And Wiz, by the way, I was actually one of my. I just came from a funeral last Thursday. One of my team leaders, he died, PTSD, TBI, enlarged heart, very stressed out,
Ooh.
died. I don't want to give his name out, but yeah, I went to his funeral, and then I went up to Massachusetts, and I was coming down, and it was a crappy story to begin with. I'm sorry, but ending in New Jersey, I had a Taylor ham, egg and cheese, salt, pepper, ketchup.
I love it.
At a gas station,
Taylor
and it was
ham.
fucking awesome.
It was the best thing in the world.
Dude, I
wasn't it?
try to do it at my house. I can't do it like New Jersey.
Nah.
Cannot do it like New Jersey at all.
It's the water or something. I don't know what it is.
What's up with the water? New York and New Jersey. There's something in the water that makes your bread taste better. I don't know what it is.
It's the cheesesteak rolls, man. It's the same thing with the cheesesteak rolls. I agree. I love it,
That's
man.
good.
Yeah, because I try and get, there's Philly cheesesteak places down here. I'm like, no.
Not Geno's, not Pat's.
No, it's not Pat's, not Geno's. The best, I've never been a big Pat's and Geno's, guys. The best place I'd ever go to was the White House in Atlantic City. That place is the best up on the face of the planet. She's saying Chicago pizza's better. It's a bowl of dough with tomato sauce in it. That ain't a pizza, Chief. Forget it.
Here we go.
Come on now, man.
And the fighting continues.
Hey, Wiz,
dough bowl.
How does one get in your options class?
If you go to topgunoptions.com, you can log in. I do like a daily sit rep or situation report, a quick 10-minute video, so you can subscribe to one of those. And then usually once a quarter, I open up the doors. My sales webinars ain't sales webinars. I don't give you 92 PowerPoint slides. I just open up the doors to our trading squad, and you get to come in with normal members, and you watch me trade and train people. So I usually do that once a quarter. So if you go sign up on the homepage, I'll let you know when the next class is starting. I don't open a ton of people at all the time, because I was a flight instructor. I'm an options instructor. I hate having 500 people in a brief, because I can't answer questions. So we keep a nice tight knit group, so the quality of the instruction is pretty good. Because I don't leave my live trade briefs with anybody with a question mark over their head or a clue bird on their shoulder. I want to make sure that they learn. Yeah. There's education going on.
Yeah. So you break it down. If somebody walked in there and I absolutely know nothing about options, would I come out?
I don't even have a portfolio.
So here's what, as you guys know, military training is designed to take you from rock to Jedi master.
Yeah.
I took Navy flight training, man. There was a guy in my Navy flight training class from Montana. His first flight in an airplane was from Montana to Pensacola. Dude never flew in an airplane, and in 6 months, he's a steely-eyed, naval aviator type of guy. So I do the same thing with options. We start with, this is the market, this is the stock, and we just take that building block approach over time. And we do that training at night when the market's closed, right? So, hour and a half at night, I just train. And then the next day, live in the market, we demo do, just like you guys in the military. We do demo do, and then I tell people, I didn't read a book on aerodynamics and run out to an F-18. I had to go over to the simulator building. So what we do is, most brokerage firms have what's called a paper trading account. So they'll give you $100,000 in monopoly money in a fake account, but it simulates real trades. Yeah. So as you're going through your training, you just kind of shadow what I'm doing. And before you ever, squeeze the trigger on a real trade with real capital, you're in the sim building for
heck yeah.
For a little bit, until you feel, you got to fly and fight your own airplane, right? You're the pilot in command of your portfolio. But with that building block approach, this is not anecdotal. This is the truth. We've literally turned little old ladies in tennis shoes into millionaires. We have the last time this happened was the COVID crash. I love blood in
Yeah.
the streets. I love volatility. I love markets imploding. And as that happened, if you guys remember during the COVID crash, 1,000 points down, 3,000 points down.
Correct.
Every one of those
Yes.
down days, all the clowns on CNBC were saying what? Oh, this is the bottom. Oh, I'd buy here. This is the bottom. And it kept going. They were getting
down.
destroyed. They were wrong. I wasn't. The whole way down, I'm like, nope, 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 nope. And then when the bottom happened was when Jerome Powell from the Fed came in and dropped the biggest financial nuke ever, and the market never turned around. So it isn't hard at all. It ain't rocket surgery. If I can do it, anybody can do it. But we have stay-at-home moms, dads, attorneys, doctors, retired people,
Yeah.
airline guys. We literally have all walks of life at Top Gun Options, and little old ladies in tennis shoes.
Is there a fee for this course?
Yeah, it's a monthly fee. I think our least expensive is like $97. A round of drinks down here in Boca Raton, up to like $295 a month for access to everything. The $97 a month gets you access to one service called Solo Amazon, where we just trade what I call the Death Star Amazon. Because when you think about it, a lot of people, you've been lied to in investing your entire life. The number one thing that they tell you is to do what? Diversify. And it's a lie, because the brokers want you to in as many names as possible so you trade. They earn commissions, just like the movie The Wolf of Wall Street or something like that. They want you in 50 different names. If you own just Amazon, for example, that's diversified. They got an airline. They got Amazon Air. They got Amazon Prime Entertainment. They got Amazon everything in the warehouses. They're going to do Amazon Pharma. They're going to have driverless 18. That company literally is the most diversified thing on the planet. So that's why, it's cheap. It's only $97 a month. And there's a ton of people that you can print money just in one name, because a lot of retail traders make the mistake of going into all those different names, and they can't track all of them, right? Unless you're sitting here for 8 hours a day tracking all of that stuff, you're going to get killed. And I don't do that. I'd rather get my teeth drilled. I'll place maybe one trade a day, if that at all, and I'm done. I go to the beach, I work out. I don't sit here and trade. So I actually do the exact opposite. I live. I have zero interest in sitting here all day.
Beautiful, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. I enjoy it. It ain't flying a hornet, but I still get a little bit of a thrill of a kill. And I just apply that same mindset because when you think about it, trading's a form of combat. Somebody's going to win and somebody's going to get their ass handed to them. So why wouldn't you use the same methodologies we used in the military to stay alive and apply it to your trading,
Yes. I'm definitely going to sign up.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I need to learn how to do this.
Me too.
Love you,
So,
man.
Hey, Whiz, I got one question. How fast have you flown?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Fastest.
I was literally just going to ask something similar.
Fastest is 1,300 miles per hour.
Holy
straight
shit.
down at the Pacific Ocean, and it was the flight I almost died on. That was it. I'll tell that real quick. So I was an instructor out at Miramar. I was in the Marine Squadron out at Miramar, and and Chief is going to love this one. I was an SCF pilot, so a maintenance pilot. So they did anything to the airplane, one of us had to go, because we're mature, right? Listen to this. One of us had to go up and check out the airplane. So we got a brand new Lot 20 Hornet from St. Louis. This thing it was a new car. It had 2 hours on the jet from like the factory to our squadron. And they're like, "Hey, Lieutenant, can you go do an acceptance flight?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, I can." So I walk out on the ramp and look at this jet. It is brand new. It's slick too. There's no drop tank. There's no pylons. It's Blue Angel slick. And it's got an EPE motors, enhanced performance engines, right? So unbelievable. So I get on the runway, man, full grunt, full afterburner. I'm like thrown out of the back of the airplane. This thing is screaming down the runway. So I get airborne out of San Diego over the beautiful, not a cloud in the sky, beautiful day off San Diego. And it takes all of 10 minutes for me to do the checks because this airplane is perfect. So a lieutenant in a brand new airplane with some extra gas is probably the worst thing you could ever have in the United States Navy. So I'm like, Well, the book says 50,000 feet is the service ceiling of the airplane. And I'm like, let's go ahead and check this out. So I go full afterburner. I push the nose over. I get supersonic. So now I'm going the speed of sound. And I pull back on the stick and I start climbing. And the altimeter is like Bugs Bunny, man. I am climbing like a bat out of hell. I'm accelerating going up, actually. I'm still, so 30,000 feet, 35,000 feet, 40, 45,000 feet. And I go through 50, man. And I didn't hit my head or anything. So I'm like, all right, let's keep going a little bit more. And I go up to about 60,000 feet.
Oh my
And
God.
I look out, and it is black and it is blue. I mean, literally
Whoa.
on the edge of space, man. It's incredible. So as I'm trying to take in this, like, holy, I've never seen anything like it. All of a sudden, the engines, there ain't no air up at 60,000 feet. So the engines start coughing. I'm like, oh shit, I better get out of here. So there ain't no air up there. I've just moved the stick to the left, and the jet just kind of slowly kind of rolls. And I'm like, all right, well, I got the altitude record. Let's go for speed. So I point straight down at the Pacific. I'll never forget, just a blue Pacific Ocean, man. I leave the afterburners engaged, and I am going straight down, and I am hauling ass. So I hit maybe Mach 1.7.
Holy shit.
In the mid 20s, and then my political science math starts kicking in. I'm like, I should probably start pulling out of this dive. So I pull the throttles to idle, and it's like I hit a brick wall. That was actually a decel. I was going so fast when I almost like hit my head on the upfront control. And I put the stick in the lap. Well, guess what happens? In the F-18, you're a voting member, right? You can't. When I put that stick in the lap, the jet said, well, Whiz wants to do this, but if he does that, we're going so fast, this jet might just like disintegrate. So we're just going to give him a little bit of a pull. And I'm like, holy shit. I did the math real quick, and I'm like, I'm going to fly straight into the Pacific. This jet is not going to come out of this dive. So I'm like, and you can't eject. I'm doing Mach, I'm doing 13. Yeah. Literally, the flight surgeon told me later, he's like, you would have vaporized. You would have disintegrated. So I'm like, well, this is how I die.
You gotta go. You gotta go.
It was, I was absolute Pete. That you know what pissed me off the most? I was so pissed that the guys were going to go to the Officers Club later and laugh at how I died. I was so pissed that these guys were going to be making fun of me for being an idiot. But of course, when I tell the story with my wife, I'm like, I was thinking of you and everything. But anyway, I'm going downhill like a bat out of hell. I got the stick in the lap. Now I'm down in the teens, and now the air is getting thicker, so the stab is starting to bite more. So I'm like, oh man, and I'm like, holy shit. So I know what I pulled. It was like 10.8 G's or something.
Holy
like that.
Wow.
So I'm like, holy shit, I think I'm going to hit 100 feet through the water. I'm keep updating my mental math. And unbelievable. I lit in the mirrors on the canopy. I literally bottomed out at about 50 feet and rooster-tailed the water behind me.
What?
Yeah. Oh man. So I get air. Well, I'm still airborne, but I climb out and I'm flying back to Miramar. I'm like, holy shit, man! Pulling out that Lucky Strike cigarette. I land and I go, Chief, you'll appreciate this. I land and go into maintenance control, and they're like, hey, sir, how's the jet? I just kind of look at them and just keep walking. I'm like, I go up to my office. I go up to my office, and there's an emergency bottle of Captain Morgan in my drawer, and I just start, enjoying myself because I knew what was going to happen next. 10 minutes later, there's a knock on my door, and it's like, hey, Whiz, the skipper wants to see you. I'm like, yeah, I know he does. And I'm a Navy guy in a Marine squadron, and man, I go.
What
in
did the
there.
colonel have to say to you, sir?
Yeah, exactly. Not too often that a lieutenant stands at attention, but when you're in front of a Marine colonel, I
POA,
stood there.
baby, POA.
It felt like an hour that I was standing there at attention. It was probably like 5 minutes, but it felt like forever. And he's like, he goes, hey, Chief, you know exactly where I'm going. But he goes, did you scare yourself? And I'm like, yes, sir. And he's like, you ever going to do that again? And I'm like, no, sir. And he's like, get the fuck out of my office. So
That's awesome.
because you guys know the jet's a tattletale, man. It told maintenance
Yeah.
everything that I did. This jet, this brand new jet, now with 2.7 hours on it, sat in the hangar because I broke the damn wings. And they had to fly out a team from St. Louis to X-ray the wings and shit like that. And every day that I go out to go flying after that, I'd hide my eyes. I'd avert my eyes after I walked past her because they were pulling shit off of that jet and cannibalizing it. And I'm like, oh my God, I destroyed this air. But it did end up flying again someday.
And how much does a jet like that cost?
That was what, $65 million, I think.
Holy.
Yeah.
Damn.
So yeah.
No wonder my skipper was pissed.
Oh yeah. Well, I had a couple get out of jail free cards with that guy. So he owed, had I not had a couple in my pocket, I would have, that probably would have been my last flight. So the St. Louis guys were like, you hit 60,120 feet and you hit 47 feet. I'm like, holy shit. And they're like, that is the unofficial Hornet record for altitude and speed. And I was like, all right, well, that's cool. I didn't get a end of tour award for that achievement, of course, but
Bravo Zulu, sir. Bravo Zulu.
So that was my highest and fastest and lowest story. Yeah, all in one flight. That was not.
Right.
Kids, don't try this at home.
Yes. So I have a Top Gun question for you.
Uh-oh.
So you take the class. So in the movie Top Gun, it's like a competition, and who comes out the best? Like Iceman is number one. Is it like that, or is it just a class teaching you guys?
Who's gonna be on this one?
It's just it's a class. Ain't no everybody. Well, not everybody graduate. If you suck. And you don't make it through, you won't graduate. But there's no ranking or anything like that. No, it's the coolest part about Top Gun to me was the graduation flight. So everybody goes in the like base theater and you brief, and you get an envelope with a time and a lat long, a GPS coordinate, and it's Indian country. You go out and you hang out there, and whatever shows up, you fight. So back in the day, they'd invite P-51 Mustangs, MiG-29s, F-16s from an Air Guard unit. You did not know what you were going to fight that day. So it was kind of like combat. I got to fight an F-16 from like North Dakota. One of the guys in class did, he's out there just kind of droning circles in the sky. He turns around and he's like, dude, I'm getting gunned by a P-51 Mustang. So it's literally the graduation hop is you have no idea what's going to show up out there.
And they teach dogfighting, right?
That's all. Half the course is for a Hornet guy. It's both because as a strike fighter, you got to be able to fight your way into the target, roll in hot, and then fight your way off the target. It's interesting because you see in the movies like, oh, bombs away, and they take the mask off. You just bomb those people. They're pretty pissed. And you gotta fight your way out. So usually going into the targets at Top Gun, flying over Iraq was boring to me. Top Gun was the scariest, most challenging flying I ever did. Well, think about it this way, because if it isn't the most challenging flying, we're going to be surprised when we go anywhere else. So the toughest we got to throw at guys and gals is at our own place, right? But yeah, we'd fight our way into the Bravo 17 target area, drop our bombs after shooting down some F5s or bad guys. And of course, after we shoot them down, they go hide behind the mountains and stuff like that. So we come off target trying to get back to our egress point, and they'll pop up right underneath from the mountains and cornhole us. So it's a very dynamic environment. And of course, our alphabet agencies or agencies that shall remain nameless kind of steal or acquire stuff. So when you're flying into the target, man, you're getting lit up by no shit SA6s or SA3. You're getting lit up and seeing in the cockpit exactly what you're going to see in bad guy country. And then at some points they have Smoky Sams too. Like you'll get locked up by target tracking radar and look down
air
and
missiles. Got it.
So it's the pucker factor is pretty high. And then the you don't want to look bad factor is pretty high too, because then you go back to debrief in a massive theater with 100 other air crew, man, and you mess up, you're publicly getting a ration of shit. So I loved it. I busted my ass at Top Gun. That was the hardest I've ever worked in my life.
How long is that course?
The course I went through was it 8 weeks? I went through the adversary course, so I went through the course to be a bad guy, actually. But the regular course I think is like 4 weeks longer than that. I think it's like 12 weeks. It's an ass kicking. We call it going to the mountain, because when you leave, man, you got the flowing robes, you got all the latest tactics and knowledge from the mountain, because when things are going on in combat, it goes directly to Top Gun. I remember the story in the Gulf War. The initial night, we're like dropping all these LGBs or these bombs on the Iraqi concrete bunkers with the MiGs in there, and they're going through like a knife through butter. And we're like, holy shit, they're duds or our fusings. Oh, what's going on? And we turned it around real quick. I forget the exact story. But the CIA, whoever looked into it really quick, they're like, holy shit, man. The French, you got to love the French. The French were contracted to build these 5 feet of concrete, rebar, more concrete, steel. They put like balsa wood and hay and maybe a little bit of concrete. So our bombs were going. We actually found that out, and Top Gun turned that around real quick and sent it back to the fleet. Like, no, change the fusings to this, because the French didn't, or maybe the French admitted it. That's what I think it was. That there are allies who are like, oh yeah, those bombs aren't going off because we didn't build those hangars to specs. So that's the central repository of knowledge for Navy and Marine aviation. And of course, they talk back and forth with the Air Force Weapons School at Nellis and WTI down in Yuma for the Marine Corps. So the weapons schools it's a lot of work to be there, but guess what? That's where the best of the best and the elite hang out.
Yeah.
That's so cool, man.
That's pretty awesome.
I'm sorry. I'm in awe because I was a grunt and I was on the ground and I did a lot of this and Humvees, and I've only flown a plane once. Okay. One of our VFW members, he flies, and he's like, Andrew, come to the Murfreesboro airport. I'll pick you up. I'm like, all right, good to go. So I get in his plane and we drive, we ride 30 minutes to the south to Shelbyville airport. He's like, Andrew, take the stick. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I've never flown a plane in my life. And I'm like, 5 minutes. I'm like this.
First time for everything, man.
Oh my God. He's like, Sam's like, Andrew, how you doing? I'm like, shut up. I'm flying a plane.
Concentrate.
And
I love it.
It was kind of easy, but I'm like, I'm not going to say that because I was terrified. I was like, I do not want to go up. I don't want to free float in the plane. No, I don't want to do that. No, I just want to get there and then back, and then I'm good.
Hey, some guy in Florida just had landed a plane because his pilot checked out.
I saw that. Yeah, the guy passed out or something like that. And it was like an old 1970s movie, like the air traffic controller telling the guy how to land the airplane, man.
Hey, Whiz,
Sledge just sent me a text. He lives in Portland, Tennessee.
Portland. Yeah, that's where the Strawberry Festival is.
Yeah, due north of downtown Nashville.
Yeah, I know where it is. Whiz, do you you've seen Spies Like Us, right?
Seeing spots.
Spies Like Us, the movie.
Oh yeah, Spies Like Us. Yeah.
Part of your flight training. I know you got to go to SEER school and some other schools. Do they put you in like a spinning room for the
Yeah, we do. For the centrifuge. You go through the centrifuge, and you got to pull. You got to go get your 9G qual. You got to pull 9 times the force of gravity, which is just 9 Gs is painful.
You want some coffee?
Yeah,
I want some coffee.
Most people, I mean, the average person pass out around 3, 4, 5 G's. You're unconscious, but they train you, right? You know, we wear the G suit, right? That gives you about a half a G protection. It's not that much, but they, you know, got to be in good shape, man. You got to do your squats, you got to do your sit-ups, so you can squeeze your legs and your abs to keep the blood in your head. But G, you know, pulling G's is also like riding a bike. If you got to be G tolerant. Like if I don't fly my fighter jet for a couple weeks, I got to go out there and warm up a little bit. We call it a G warm up, as opposed to just getting out there and pulling G's. Back in the day, I'm going to date myself, we lost airplanes due to CFIT, controlled flight into terrain. Nowadays, you can Google this, like F-16 National Guard recovery. I've just Googled something like that. F-16, you'll see it's a kid versus an instructor. Kid pulls a shitload of G's and he's out. And you can see in the HUD, he is just going straight down to the desert floor. And the instructor's yelling over the radio, whatever the call sign is, you know, Whiz, pull up, Whiz. These instructors yelling over the radio. And then all of a sudden the jet rolls wings level and climbs and saves him. So we have software now that if you're nose down pointing at the dirt and there's no control input, the autopilot will take over and rescue you. Wow. Yeah. I lost in 15 years. I think I lost 2 or 3 buddies due to CFIT. So now the software will save your life. So if guys in the old days, we lost Kieran O'Connor and his backseater. We lost 2 Blue Angels in an air show in Georgia due to G-lock. We've lost a couple Blues recently to G-lock because remember, they don't wear G suits. The Thunder Chickens, the JV team, they can wear G suits. They can wear G suits because they have a side stick over here. But the Blue Angels, when they rest their right arm on their leg, you can't have a G suit on there, inflating up and down. So the blue, one of the reasons that they'll tell you they wear those uber tight flight suits is because it actually gives them a little bit of G protection.
They are pretty tight.
Yeah, they are pretty tight.
Did you ever fly with the Blue Angels?
Yeah, I flew once with the Blue Angels when my buddy was on the team. I flew in the slot, the number 4 jet in a 2-seater, and it was pretty cool, to be honest with you, for about 10 minutes, and then I could see how doing it for 2 years I would have been miserably bored.
It's like recruiting duty for a Marine. Okay,
it is. We call it doing loops to music. They call it flying paint. I mean, literally in the jet, he's like, all right, so you see this rivet on my canopy? I keep that rivet on his rivet, and I do that for 2 years. I'm like, I'd rather go to Top Gun and learn how to kill people.
Wow.
You do loops to music, and I'm gonna go to Top Gun. So.
Well, because
Chief flew in a T2. That's awesome, man. The T2 Buckeye was the L-39 Ione flies like a T2. It's a cool airplane.
Okay. Because we lost, I think Smyrna, Jeff Krause. We lost him, and they've got his plane 11 miles away from where me and Commander Fleek live.
Yep.
Yes.
Did you know him?
I didn't. He was younger than I was, but I think that was a G-lock as well. G loss of consciousness. Yeah, it's not. And they don't have, the Blue Angels can't fly with that terrain software because we'd be going off the whole time. I mean, they're pointing at the ground and everything like that.
Right.
I mean, you can't have anything like that going on. Hell, when I was a kid, I remember this mishap in 1985. The Thunderbirds, all 4 of them in the Diamond, flew right into the ground together. The number 1 jet, I think, had a problem with at the top of the loop. Something happened with his flight controls, and the other 3 followed him right into the dirt. Yeah, because they're doing what, man? They're flying paint. So of course, military mishap. What do? We debrief. So the number 4 guy in the Thunderbirds and the Blue Angels is the safety guy. So he's monitoring everything on the way down. But up until that mishap, 1, 2, 3, and 4, or 2, 3, and 4 flew off the lead, and nobody else was looking anywhere else. But now, so there were some changes. Yeah. Aviation's a self-cleaning oven, man. It is. It's unforgiving. So that's why I'm very lucky that I'm sitting here today, man. Because I think in my
Well, Wiz,
total 15 years, I think I lost about 18 guys, and one gal, the first female naval aviator, Tomcat pilot, was killed on the Lincoln trying to land aboard the boat. So yeah, I didn't lose one buddy in combat. All those 18 were, jet issues or pilot issues or weather, man. So yeah, it's an unforgiving environment. But I lucked out.
I just got a text message from the one of my shipmates the guy that just retired for 31 years from the Chicago Police Department. He has one question for you.
Yeah.
Are you a shellback?
Oh my,
yeah.
that is a good question.
Not only am I a shellback,
So am I.
I am a
Same.
golden shellback.
Ah, you are an overachiever, sir.
I went through the equator and the dateline, man. The Abraham Lincoln went right to that X marks the spot,
Yeah.
and I got the shit beat out of me. So I am
That's
a
the,
golden
yeah.
shellback.
The shall
Yeah.
not perish, right? The Lincoln, the shall
It
not
shall
perish.
not perish. CVN 72. Yeah,
See,
I got my
see, I was
golden
on the
shellback. I got that frame too, man. That was a big deal. Yep.
See, I was on the
I got mine right
Kearsarge,
over there.
little LHD. We had the Harriers, we had Sea Stallions,
Mhm.
Super Stallions, 53s, 46s,
Oh yeah.
and
Gator
I know
freighter.
you guys got the shellback ceremony worse than me because I'm just a boot. But you guys probably had to eat the cherry out of the fat chief's stomach or something like that.
There was a lot of bad.
It was a lot of bad.
But we earned it.
Chief Paul Freeman, he was in the service maybe a year or so before me, so he became a shellback before me, so he was the one beating the shit out of me.
Oh man, no. Come
Thank you,
on
Chief
now.
Freeman.
Yeah, thanks, Chief Freeman.
I love it.
Well, Wiz, this is you are awesome, man. You
Yeah,
had a
Yeah,
great
thanks for having me,
story.
guys. This is great. I appreciate it. Yeah, I love telling sea stories, man.
As because my dad was
We
Navy
all
too.
do.
He was at Woodby Island. He
Oh
was
yeah,
lieutenant commander.
Mhm.
He actually I'm going to tell this funny story before we sign off. My dad, lieutenant commander, right? Lieutenant Commander
Mhm.
Farr. He's a psychiatrist, Woodby Island, and he calls up the admiral. He's like, "Yeah, I'm dealing with a lot of alcoholics on this base, sir. Can we raise the price of beer? Because back in 69, 71, it was like what 25 cents a beer,
Nickel beer. Yeah,
nickel
exactly.
beer." He's like, "Can we raise it, sir? Because they wouldn't be more inclined to buy more expensive beer." And the admiral's
Mhm.
like, Lieutenant Commander Farr, that's not going to happen. Not a snowball hell in chance. So, click. So my dad got hung up by an admiral.
Oh man,
That was an awesome story when he told me that.
That is not going to happen.
That's not going to happen, sir. Sorry.
Go with your plan B.
All right. Well, we won't keep you much longer.
Yeah,
But I appreciate you coming on and telling your stories. And
Oh, yeah.
for people out there listening, make sure you go to Top Gun Options. Make sure you check him out. He also has a podcast that's very interesting.
Yes.
It's called Max Afterburner. Is that correct?
You bet.
Yeah, I've been binge listening to that. It's some good
thanks.
stuff.
I appreciate it.
It's pretty good stuff.
Awesome.
He's a
So go out there
stalker.
and
He's a
check him
stalker,
out.
sir. He's a stalker. Be careful.
Yeah. So
I love it.
yeah, we appreciate you coming on and keep in touch with us. And
Yeah.
your
Yeah,
guy
Liz,
can.
I'll get you that name after
Get
we're
me
done.
that name, man. I'd love to come back on down the road, maybe before
Yeah.
we release the documentary around
Yeah,
Veterans
for sure.
Day.
Yes, sir.
I'd love to put the bat signal up and try and help as many vets as we can.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate the forum, guys. Andrew and Skipper, thanks for having me. Chief Freeman,
Yes.
once a hunter, always a hunter, man.
Yes, sir.
Hoorah, sir.
All right. Take care.
All right,
Thank
guys.
you
God
again.
bless. Have a good
See you.
night.
God bless.
Yep. Bye.